Alright, today is the middle of the week, the middle of the month. Magandang Miyerkules ng hapon po sa inyong lahat. As always, we have the day's latest stories for you, so do stick around for the next hour. Ako po si Denise Tan.
At ako naman po si Lord de Vera, handang ibahagi ang salin kung gusto nyong makita. Salin, parang salin at pera, as in sa akin lang napupunta, sabi ng ilang mga kongresista. O pwede ring salin, as in sobra atang laki niyan. O kaya salin. Sir, alalang nakukulong? Ito na ang tunay na salin, superb afternoon lightness. Now, get it right here on Afternoon Delight.
Okay, today is Hump Day Wednesday, October 15. Naku, kalahati na kagad ng buwan. Napakabilis talaga pag Burmans
Biruin
na.
mo, 15 na.
Oo.
The Ides of October. Matindi. Paliwanag natin sa father ko na hindi ka nawala. Kasi kahapon nag-alala daw siya.
Ay, bakit?
Bakit wala si Denise Tan kahapon? At bakit yung logo ninyo gumaganon-ganon pag commercial daw?
Ah, meron?
Meron.
Hindi ko napansin.
O, effect daw yan. Effect ang tawag dyan.
I'm back, Tito.
Opo, si Tito.
Meron lang tayong trinabaho kahapon.
Alright. Kung ano tinrabaho ni Denise Tan, ay tingnan nyo na lang sa salin niya, mga kapatid. Alright. But it's time to check the headlines at this hour, starting with the Office of the Ombudsman reopening SAL-Ns to the public. Access to Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth is less restrictive now. Those requesting SAL-N copies can fill out a form, present 2 valid IDs, pay the reproduction or certification fee, and wait for the office's review. No need for the consent or permission of the concerned official. For national officials, it's the Ombudsman, the headquarters that processes the request, while you can ask for the SAL-N of local officials from sectoral offices.
And for the SAL-N of senators, congressmen, and members of the judiciary, the documents can be petitioned from their respective offices. But note that these institutions have stricter policies regarding SAL-N access. This is a complete turnaround from former Ombudsman Samuel Martires' time when SAL-Ns could only be released when there's a court order, notarized letter of authority, and above all, the Ombudsman's approval. Ombudsman Boying Remulla says this move is not a political one, but merely an initiative guided by a simple principle. Quote, "The public has a legitimate right to know how those in government acquire and manage their wealth. Transparency in this area is not a slogan. It is a safeguard against corruption and a deterrent to abuse of power." And Remulla says there will be no exemptions.
I really committed to be transparent about the job itself.
So your SAL-N will now also be open for scrutiny?
Of course. My SAL-N is part of it.
Ombudsman Boying, you have said no fear or favor, pero nanggaling ka sa sa larangan ng politika na alam mo maraming trading of favors. And itong for instance former House Speaker Romualdez is your brad. Is a member of Upsilon as you are, your brothers, your sons, and other legislators. Kaya mo na habulin sila kung may ebidensya?
Kaya ko, sis. Ito na yan eh. Kasama yan sa trabahong hiningi ko. I asked for this job. And I'm willing to go where it will take me. Hindi naman lahat hindi ba lahat nakukuha sa pakisama. Bansa muna.
Meantime, an idea has come up. Later, Representative Martin Romualdez turning state witness in the flood control probe. The former House Speaker appeared before the Independent Commission for Infrastructure on Tuesday, where he denied taking kickbacks from the scandal and also talked about the budget process. Here's the palace's comment on this issue.
Depende po sa kanya magiging salaysay at kung ano po ang kanyang mailalahad. At depende na po rin yan sa Department of Justice kung siya pa ay maituturing na isang state witness at ito naman po ay irerekomenda sa korte. So lahat po yan ay depende sa lahat ng mangyayari. So hindi pa po natin masasabi kung siya pwede maging state witness o hindi.
But Romualdez becoming a state witness is not sitting well with Davao City Congressman Paulo Duterte. In a statement, Pulong called it the biggest joke of the century. He likened the would-be state witness to a crocodile testifying about other crocodiles, but quote, only after they've finished eating off the river. Pulong also cautioned that the country's reputation and future are at stake if culprits in the flood control scam remain unpunished.
And it's the season of surveys once more, with one showing many Filipinos outraged over the flood control scandal. And now they want government officials and contractors involved to be held accountable, and soon. The details in this report.
Amid the widening corruption scandal over anomalous flood control projects, many Filipinos are now asking, has anyone been jailed? Online posts echoed that frustration, a sentiment reflected in a new Okta research survey conducted in late September. The poll shows 68% of respondents want corrupt officials and contractors held accountable, while 58% want the recovery of stolen public funds and the imprisonment of those proven guilty. Still, Malacanang is urging the public to be patient, saying investigations must be based on solid evidence.
Hindi po kasi ito nadadaan sa agad-agaran. Siguro bilang lawyer na ako ay mismong humahawak ng mga kaso at ako po ay humaharap mismo sa korte, kaya alam ko po kung paano ba magpresenta ng isang ebidensya.
The same survey also shows anger as the strongest emotion toward corruption in government, infrastructure projects expressed by 60% of respondents, while only 1% say they still feel hope. When asked which institution they trust most to lead the investigation, 46% choose the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, compared to 23% for the Senate and 13% for the House of Representatives.
Sa taong bayan, wag po kayo mainip dahil sinimula na po ito. Hintayin na lang po natin ang magandang magiging trabaho ng ICI.
Meanwhile, at the Senate budget hearing, Finance Secretary Ralph Recto said the flood control scandal has hurt the economy, diverting funds that could have fueled growth.
So this explains that in spite of having this level of expenditures, dahil napunta ang parte ng capital outlay doon nga sa ghost projects or substandard projects, halimbawa sa flood control, ay apektado yung growth natin. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi napunta sa corruption yung parte ng budget dyan, ay siguro yung ekonomiya natin would have been growing by 6 to 6.2% at mas malaki ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC.
Recto added that the delays in legitimate infrastructure projects have also slowed economic activity, cutting materials demand, jobs, and government collections. He said that once reforms are completed and transparency is restored, economic recovery can finally begin.
All right, let's have an expert weigh in on these developments. Joining us this afternoon is political scientist Professor Antonio Contreras. Professor Ton, magandang hapon po and welcome back sa Afternoon Delight, Prof.
Magandang hapon din sa inyong dalawa.
All right. Tita Denise, tanungin natin muna siguro si Prof. Ton, what do you make of the flood control probe, especially by the ICI? Do you think, sir, it is being done fast enough?
Well, of course, hindi natin alam kung ano nangyari sa loob kasi hindi naman siya public, right? At hindi natin alam kung ano yung mga na-uncover nila. Parang striptease nilalabas kung ano yung dapat ilabas. So yun yung debate, di ba? May mga humihiling na dapat ay gawing bukas sa publiko. Ako, ang tingin ko dyan ay dapat balanse. Kasi may mga issue naman ng privacy. May mga issue na minsan baka partial pa lang yung findings. Pag nakita na, nagsisimula na magkaroon ng spin. So sa halip na makuha natin yung katotohanan, naunahan na ng mga ingay sa social media. But on the other hand, there are certain issues that needs to be transparent. I think more frequent reporting of what has been found out would be good, and then opening some of the deliberations to the public, lalo na pagdating doon sa public accountability ng mga government officials na hindi naman sila protected ng ng extreme na confidentiality, maliban lang kung it has something to do with national security or bank deposits. So sa ngayon, di ko alam kung mabilis o mabagal ba sila. Basta ang alam ko, they're making progress. May mga nilalabas silang ILBO, nadagdagan na naman. May mga dumadating na mga personalities para kausapin sila. So, yun ang progress. May mga dumating si Speaker Romualdez, pumunta, si dating Senate President Chis Escudero, pati si dating Secretary ng DPWH, Senator Mark Villar. So nakikita natin na as to whether ano yung nilabasan nun, yun ang hindi natin alam.
Oo. Professor Ton, ano po yung sagot ninyo sa hirit na ayaw namin naman ma-prejudge o trial by publicity, kaya kailangang iikubli muna. At kayo ho ba, kahit papano, at least yung mga hearing sa Congress at sa Senado, kahit papano, kahit medyo magulo kung saan pumupunta, may napupulot tayo ng konti, sir.
Well, actually, sabi ko nga sa iyo, dapat balance and nuanced Kasi totoo naman talaga na hindi na kasi panahon na kasi ngayon ng social media. May AI na, na minsan nga hindi nangyari, pwedeng gawin ng itsura sa magkaroon ng parang katulad mo, gumagalaw na rin sa screen, right? Nakaka-generate ng maraming ingay. So, kasi ini-spin ng mga partisano, ini-spin ng mga kanya-kanyang kampo. So, sa halip na makatulong sa pag-discover ng totoo, nagugulo kasi nagkikreate ng anxiety, nagkikreate ng suspicion. Minsan partial pa lang yung truth, magmimake na ng judgment. So yun naman ang hindi natin gusto mangyari. Lalo na, alam naman natin, totoo naman yung Senate hearings at saka House hearings, nakakarinig tayo. Pero usually minsan, ang mga tao hinahanap yung explosive. Diba? Hinahanap yung marami ng bagay na lumalabas. Ako bilang isang political scientist, maraming lumalabas na mga hindi naman dapat. Mali yung pagkaka-interpret ng public. Mali yung pagkaka-spin ng media. Pero from our point, bilang isang political scientist, parang hindi ganun yung dapat na makarating. Pero yun ang ini-spin. Pero dapat i-balance yun doon sa right of the public to know. Kaya nga sabi ko, balansehin. Yung mga dapat na yung mga informasyon na kailangan mo ng parang ano yan parang deposition yan na sikreto. Pero pagkatapos na depose, i-gawin mong public. Di ba? Dapat gano'n. Meron mo ng deposition sa loob. Ano yung dapat na Then later on, magkaroon sila ng public hearing for the purposes of the public. Kunyari, si Romualdez, meron siya may interview kay Romualdez. Ngayon, maring may mga sinabi na confidentially dapat ilabas. Pero dapat meron ding public hearing na si Romualdez na andon. Para kung ano man yung mga issue ng public accountability, yung mga na hindi naman issue na ma-challenge yung kanyang privacy or kaya yung bank secrecy law o walang national security issue. Then therefore, dapat ganun. Ganun ang tingin ko na balanse dito.
Sir, speaking of accountability, syempre ang taong bayan gusto talaga nila. They want everybody that's involved, they want them to pay. Pero at this point po kasi parang nasa investigasyon, yung investigasyon ay nasa case build-up pa lang talaga, ang gobyerno at mahaba-haba po ito. I know we talked about this before, but again, can you remind the public po, paano po ba dapat masustain yung outrage at yung kanilang nararamdaman sa kanilang ipinaglalaban din?
Well, the outrage, the public is entitled to outrage. We are entitled to our anger. But there is the law. There are procedures. There are constitutional presumptions of innocence before proven guilty. So yun ang ibabalanse mo. So ang mangyari dito, yung publiko patuloy na mag-pressure without being violent, following the constitutional right to express, yung ating free speech rights, palabas natin yan, pressurein natin ang sistema para gumawa at gumalaw. On the other hand, huwag natin kaagad expectin na magkakaroon kaagad ng resulta. Kasi itong mga ito ay mayroong batas. Unfortunately, tayo ay nasa isang sistema na ang procedure hanggat hindi napapatunayan na nagkasala ka, kahit nga alam na natin na mayroong kang kasalanan, hanggat hindi napapatunayan ebidensya, ay walang paghuhusga. So, magkaroon ng pasyensya, pero huwag i-let go. Kasi I think when the president came out and became the whistleblower of his own government, then that really gave a strong impetus for people to really become part of the pressure to pressure government. And we should do our part without violating the law. Kasi constitutional right natin yun Pero yun nga rin, may constitutional right din itong mga nasasakdal sa due process. So yun yung sistema natin. The alternative to that is chaos.
Opo. Mukhang siguro dapat makarinig din po dyan yung umabasa rin ng yung column po ninyo tungkol po sa progressive left and down with jaded sloganeering At yung learning of strategies, o ito isang posibleng strategiya na magamit po nila itong mga nangyayari po, sir.
Opo, kasi yun nga yung sinasabi ko, gusto natin ng ideal na sitwasyon. Pero ang mundo ay hindi umiikot sa ideal. Dapat maging pragmatic tayo. Dapat hindi naman porket hahanapin natin yung tunay o puro, walang dumi sa kamay, maging sa kasaysayan man o sa ngayon. Sa ngayon, ako naniniwala na ang magmeron tayong oportunidad para linisin ang sistema, pero hindi tayo uuwi dapat sa revolusyon or extra-constitutional na proseso. Sapagkat malinaw na may empirical na ebidensya sa kasaysayan, kahit saan man, sa Pilipinas man o sa ibang bansa, na lahat ng madudugo at violenting pagpapalit ng liderato ay nauwi din sa sistema na meron ding nangapi at may naapi. Revolutions tend to devour their own children. Ang mga violenting pagbabago ay kinakain niya, nilalamo niya ang sarili niya mga supling. So, yung merong reign of terror, mga ganyan, at hindi, yan ay huwag tayong patungo dyan. Gamitin natin itong oportunidad na ang presidente ay nagbukas ng espasyo para pag-usapan natin ito. May mga resulta naman, tingnan mo na lang ang SALN. Because of, the new ombudsman really made, through this promise. Na yan, SALN pabubuksan na, I think that's a significant move.
Yun. We are about to ask that. Nasagot nyo na po, Prof. Okay, sir. Pero, Denise, Prof, saan kaya pupunta itong probe na ito, sir? Realistic expectations po ninyo?
Ako naniniwala na, I think, tingin ko kasi sa presidente, he is on a redemption, he is on a redemption path. Meron siyang gustong ipatunayan.
Yes.
So ako gusto kong maniwala na he will see this through. Na merong makukulong dito. Merong magmananagot. Sa tingin ko yun yung sa tingin may mangyayari. At sana walang politika. Sana tutuhanin na kay kamag-anak yan, kay kakampi kung nagkasala, ay parusahan. Yung sinasabi din si Speaker Martin Romualdez ay baka daw maging state witness. Ay di pag-amin yun na siya may kasalanan. Kasi magiging state witness ka lang naman kung may kasalanan ka, right? Yung nga lang, ikaw ay pinaka-list. So mismo doon, inaamin niya na siya ay naging parte ng proseso. So, di ba? Marami nagagalit, ba't maging state witness yan? Ako naman sa sarili ko, sinasabi ko, abay, huwag yung magalit. Inaamin niya na meron siyang parte. Kasi hindi ka naman maging state witness pag wala kang parte doon sa pangyayari.
Correct.
Pero balikan ko lang, sir, you mentioned the president. Kasi actually, both the President Marcos and Vice President Duterte, they're suffering declines in their trust and approval ratings. Ano po ba yung, or what's the implication?
Well, I think that's just not natural. Unang-una, maraming isyong binabato sa gobyerno. Si Pangulong Marcos, yung administrasyon niya, maraming issue. Si Sara Duterte naman, family problems, political problems. Bababa talaga at bababa yan. Lalo na nasa kalagitnaan tayo ng termino nila, papunta na tayo sa panahon na tinatawag natin na lame duck. Actually, mas dapat mangamba si Sara Duterte dito, hindi si Pangulong Marcos. Kasi si Pangulong Marcos naman hindi natatakbo sa 2028. So kahit pa bumagsak ang rating niya, hindi naman siya magpapare-elect. Ang dapat na mangamba dito, kung bumababa ang rating, ay si Sara Duterte kung gusto niya maging presidente.
Hilahan niya. Hilahan na yan. Okay, marami pa kaming tanong, pero at this point, magpapasalamat na kami sa inyo, ang political scientist po. Thank you again, sir, Professor Antonio
maraming salamat
Contreras.
sa having me.
At hello daw sabi ni Governor Sol Aragones.
Hello, Governor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you, Professor Ton Contreras. Time out muna. Marami pa kaming kwento sa inyo. Magbabalik po ang Afternoon Delight.
This is AP News Minute. Palestinians in Gaza were torn between skepticism and hope for results from a summit held in Egypt aimed at ending the 2-year Israel-Hamas war. Questions remain about the future of Hamas in Gaza following the exchange of hostages and prisoners. Belgian police used a water cannon to clear thousands of protesters in Brussels on Tuesday. Trade unions called a national strike over austerity measures, and scuffles broke out between officers and demonstrators. At least 14 people died in a mine flooding in southeast Venezuela after torrential rains hit the region. Witnesses told reporters that the water flooded the mine upwards like a volcano after hours of rain. And SpaceX launched another of its mammoth Starship rockets on a test flight Monday, successfully making it halfway around the world while releasing mock satellites. The spacecraft skimmed space before descending into the Indian Ocean.
And this is Afternoon Delight on One News. Ako po si Lord de Vera.
At ako naman po si Denise Tan. Magandang hapon po muli.
Aftershocks continue to rattle the province of Cebu. And let's check in on the situation there with One News Desks. Dale Israel, our man in Cebu. Dale, kamusta na ang mga nangyayari dyan, Dale? Kamusta ang relief operations? Come in, Dale.
Marami pa rin aftershocks na feel Lord, doon sa Hugo City. Pero dito sa Cebu, medyo hindi na natin naramdaman yung mga aftershocks. Pero kaninang umaga, Lord, nandito yung Baguio City Mayor na si Benjamin Magalong. He's in Cebu to personally hand over checks worth 2 million pesos as assistance to quake-hit areas in northern Cebu. The 2 million pesos will be divided into 500,000 pesos each for the local government units of Bogo, Medellin, San Remigio, and Danbantayan, the areas that are heavily damaged by the recent earthquake. Mayor Magalong also paid a courtesy visit to Governor Pamela Maricuatro and had a casual conversation with her in her office. Meanwhile, the province of Misamis Occidental, led by its governor, Henry Waminal, is also here in Cebu to personally lead the distribution of cash assistance to the families of 75 quake fatalities. Each family received 20,000 pesos, while the affected local government units were given between 500,000 to 1 million pesos each, depending on the extent of the damage. The Cebu provincial government itself also received 2 million pesos from the Misamis Occidental. Governor Maricuatro, in a press conference this morning, thanked all individuals and local government units who helped extend their help. She said that the Combate Cebu task force is in full swing and in the operations of and rehabilitation of damaged infrastructure. She also assured that the provincial government will be assisting residents affected by the 70 sinkholes that have emerged after the earthquake. Adding that, the Combate Cebu task force is now identifying possible relocation sites for them. Meanwhile, Mayor Magalong also, Lord, also in a separate interview, also expressed his thoughts on the ICC, saying that its members are credible and committed to seeking the truth. So he urged them not to stop their investigation and to hold accountable those responsible for the flood control project's fiasco. Lord?
Dale, doon ba sa mga sinkholes, may mga structures na mga nakalagay na?
Tama, Lord. Meron ng mga bahay, nasa bakura ng bahay, meron din yung mga sinkholes na nandun din, malapit sa paralan, at meron din yung sinkhole na nasa highway mismo, nasa malaking highway mismo, yung access road, kagaya ng sa San Remigio, malapit yung sa highway, malapit pa rin sa paralan. Lord?
Dale, balikan ko yung mga residente dyan. The families affected, kamusta sila? I know in the past 2 weeks that we've been covering this, nagkakaroon ng issue about water, about food supply. How are they doing now? Lahat ba yun ay na-address na?
Well, Denise, as of now, the province is still sending another wave of food supplies for those who are affected in the north. Pati na rin meron ding mga hygiene kit na pinadala doon sa norte. Actually, they will be continuing this relief operations until such time daw. Pero from now, they also are formulating na yung mga rebuilding, giving out construction materials for the affected families also, aside from the food that they are regularly sending in the north.
Isang mabilis na follow-up lang ako. Meron bang plano to also send a trauma team? Dahil hindi biro yung pinagdaanan ng mga residente dyan. Maybe help them cope with the situation? Dale?
Denise, again, come again?
Oh, I was just wondering kung merong plano rin to send a trauma team to help them cope with everything that's happening to them right now? Maybe a psych team, medical team?
Yes, they're also sending sending a group of medical personnel and also psychological experts. Kasi yung iba, this is actually led by the consultant of the governor. He's a doctor. Her daughter is sending a group of psychological psychiatrists and those who will be tending to the traumas brought about by the quake also. Aside from the medical experts who are also there to cater to especially those entities.
Alright. Sige, may trauma yung ating linya. Anyway, maraming salamat sa ating man in Cebu, Dale Israel. Thank you, Dale. At kapag may usapang lindol o anumang sakuna, kaakibat na ang paghahanda. Several local government units in Metro Manila have started to distribute go bags or emergency kits. Sa amin kanina meron. At para bigyan ng mukhang balita, Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque.
Maraming Pilipino ang nangangamba dahil sunod-sunod na kalamidad at tumama sa bansa. Kaya naman ang ilang lokal na pamahalaan, nagpamahagi ng mga go bags para sa kanilang mga residente. Sa Maynila, may higit 100,000 go bags ay pinamahagi sa mga residente ng lungsod. Meron itong first aid kit, pagkain at iba't ibang tools na magagamit sa oras tumama ang isang sakuna. Sa Pasig naman, since 2024 pa raw sila talaga namamahagi.
Ang procured ng City Government of Pasig is 430,000 pieces for the constituents and other sectors, plus 11,000 for all the employees ng Pasig City Hall.
Laman ng go bag mula sa Pasig ang first aid kit, flashlight at ang bag mismo ay waterproof na maaaring ring gamitin flotation device kung kailangan. Tag-isa ay binibigay sa bawat pamilya sa lungsod ng Pasig at ang bawat bag nabili raw ng LGU nang wala pang 1,000 piso.
Yung mga schools po natin, public and private, everyone got one each for every classroom para makatulong din po for any emergencies.
Sa ngayon, tapos na raw ang distribusyon ng go bags. Ngunit hinihikayat nila ang mga mamamayan na magpatuloy pa rin sa paghahanda para sa mga sakuna.
As simple as may bag ka maliit, maglagay ka lang ng food, water, yung mga documents mo nandun sa loob. Yun eh. Go bag pa rin yun.
May pamigay man si Mayor o wala, huwag mong hintayin ang sakuna bago kumpletuhin ang sarili mong go bag. Dahil sa panahon ngayon, dapat laging handa. Mga kapatid, Mobile Journal Event na rin po hatid ang muka ng balita.
Here now is a quick rundown of more stories on One News. Pag-asa is monitoring a low-pressure area off eastern Visayas. As of 8 a.m., the LPA has a medium chance of developing into a tropical depression within the next 24 hours. Aside from the LPA, easterlies, the northeasterly wind flow and localized thunderstorms will bring rain across the country today. The International Criminal Court has disqualified Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan from handling the Crimes Against Humanity case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. The ICC cited a potential conflict of interest in the decision. Recall that Duterte's defense team asked for Khan's disqualification over his prior communication with victims of the Duterte drug war. President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte both saw declines in their trust ratings in September, according to the latest SWS survey. Marcos's trust rating dropped 5 points to 43%, while Duterte's fell 8 points to 53%, the sharpest drop in her numbers this year. The survey was conducted from September 24 to 30 among 1,500 respondents nationwide. Malacanang has defended the inclusion of unprogrammed appropriations in the proposed 6.793 trillion peso national budget for 2026. The Marcos administration stressed the fund's role as a financial buffer during natural calamities. The palace explained that the budget department relies on unprogrammed appropriations when contingent and disaster funds are depleted. The government has assured the safeguarding of such funds, which will not be immediately released nor take the form of pork barrel. And contractors Curly and Sara Discaya are now at the Independent Commission for Infrastructure Office for a hearing on anomalous flood control projects. The Discayas earlier requested several days to complete the documents required by the ICI. Meantime, a former DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo has confirmed he is skipping the hearing due to illness.
On to another story. The Philippine Coast Guard has discovered mysterious structures and a buoy inside Bajo de Masinloc. That's amid China's new claim that disputed shoal is an environmental reserve. News 5 correspondent Mon Gualvez reports.
It's an unusual sight, even for the Philippine Coast Guard, to spot what appear to be foundations during its latest maritime domain awareness flight over Bao de Masinloc on October 13. Aerial footage showed two clusters of structure like formations sticking out of the water not far from the only entry and exit passage of the shoal. The PCG plans to conduct more MDA flights to identify what it calls mysterious structures.
Well, para sa akin, napaka-unlikely kasi na this, kung wooden man ito, again, it's very hard for us to tell whether these are wooden, concrete, or metal poles, no? Either way, para sa akin, it's very hard to imagine that if it's a wooden pole, eh talagang dun lang sila magtatambak, di ba? You can actually see how big etong bahura na to ng Bajo de Masinloc. And kung ang argument is probably baka isang bagsakan lang kaya na-drift sila doon, eh di sana doon pa lang sa may bukana nung mababang area, not within doon sa loob na ng mababang area. But again, these are still speculations. No?
Aside from the floating barrier earlier installed by China at the mouth of Bao de Masinloc, the PCG also spotted a buoy at the center of the lagoon. According to Commodore J. Tariella, PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, this is the first time a buoy has been sighted in the area. Before the MDA flight, the PCG and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources conducted a Kadiwa mission for Filipino fishermen near Bao de Masinloc. Chinese vessels repeatedly drove away Philippine boats operating within the country's exclusive economic zone. According to China, the presence of Filipino vessels supposedly threatens Bao de Masinloc, which they now call an environmental reserve.
This is China Coast Guard 3301. A headlines the National Natural Reserve of Huangyan is land of the People's Republic of China. Your actions may cause damage to the environment of our reserve.
This is the first time that we monitor China Coast Guard vessels using yung line nila na meron silang natural reserve dito and that they are preventing the Filipino fishermen from getting close Bajo de Masinloc because it will endanger their natural reserve.
Tariela said the claim has no legal basis, as only the Philippines has the right to enforce laws within its EEZ. He added that this may be a new tactic by China to justify its presence in the area. Tariela also dismissed China's supposed concern for the environment.
It's very surprising that the Chinese government is claiming that they are protecting the marine environment. Dahil for so many years, we have monitored Chinese fishermen destroying the marine environment, harvesting giant clams, and even without hesitation, no? Ang panghuhuli ng pawikan at ng mga endangered species sa Bajo de Masinloc.
For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
We also give you a quick look at stories from our media partners. On the Philippine Star, one headline reads, Philippine firms expect 5.2% pay hike in 2026 as 1 in 5 workers plan to quit. This is according to the salary increase and turnover study by a British-American firm, which noted a stable yet cautious compensation outlook in Southeast Asia as companies look at skills gaps and a retention crisis. In the Philippines, salaries could only increase by 5.2% next year, which could cause 1 of 5 employees to voluntarily leave their employers. Meantime, Business World is reporting about the flood control scandal preventing the Philippines from getting a credit rating upgrade from S&P Global Ratings. That's according to Finance Secretary Ralph Recto, who predicts the Philippines maintaining its BBB plus long-term credit rating in 2026. For more details on these stories, you can visit the social media pages of the Philippine Star and Business World. Do check out as well the social media platforms of One News PH for the very latest news.
All right, another news, a world war has erupted once again between Vice President Sara Duterte and Malacanang. That's after Duterte accused the Marcos administration of being selective in its corruption investigations. And News 5 correspondent Camille Samonte reports.
At a press conference in Zamboanga City, Vice President Sara Duterte accused the administration of being selective in its corruption probes, saying investigations tend to stop once the office of the president is implicated.
Bakit specific yung pag-iimbestiga? Bakit hindi iniimbestigahan lahat ng corruption scandal? Bakit kinokontrol yung kwento sa korupsyon? Bakit hindi nilalabas lahat ng mga insidente o mga gawain o mga iskandalo sa korupsyon? Bakit pinipili? Kaya natin nasasabi lahat na merong controlling the narrative ay dahil pinipili nila kung ano yung gusto nila investigahan.
Duterte also questioned the integrity of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, saying it cannot be fully trusted since it was created by the President himself.
Sinabi ko na yan, diba? Ang ginawa lang kasi ng Pangulo, noong tinamaan siya nung sarili niyang speech na mahiya naman kayo at nagalit yung mga tao, ang ginawa lang niya ay magpalit ng House Speaker at ng President ng Senate at gumawa ng ICI. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin nananagot. So on the question of integrity, definitely, ano siya, hindi siya reliable dahil ang Pangulo din ang gumawa.
The Vice President likewise hit Ombudsman Boying Remulla's decision to reopen the formally probe, saying the same must be done for the overpriced DepEd laptops, allegedly involving a company owned by former Congressman Zaldico. Duterte claimed this kind of selective investigation fuels the continuing street protests against corruption. Despite her criticisms, she clarified that she does not support calls for President Marcos to resign.
I never said Marcos resign. Ang sinabi ko, ma'am, unang-una, magpa-drug test siya. May challenge na siya galing kay Attorney Vic Rodriguez. And that is a hanging open challenge na hanggang ngayon ayaw niyang gawin. Na sinasabi ko, that is a betrayal of public trust.
The Vice President also denied having control over Cavite Representative Kiko Barzaga, a known critic of the President.
Hindi ko pakawala si Kiko Barzaga. Sa tingin niyo ba, sa personality ni Congressman Kiko Barzaga, isa siyang tao na mahandle ng kahit sino man? Congressman Kiko Barzaga. He is his own person, he has his own principles, and he has his own free will. And there is nothing wrong at all with what he is doing because, as I said, tayong lahat, we are covered by the freedom of speech and expression. Unfortunately, meron tayong administrasyon na hindi nila matanggap na meron talagang mga tao na number one, hindi natatakot, at number two, hindi nabibili ng pera.
Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro dismissed Duterte's claims as all talk and accusations without evidence. She added that President Marcos is addressing corruption issues that the previous administration allegedly ignored.
Dapat gumamit kayo ng magandang larawan ng Vice President. Tandaan niyo yan, ha? Baka pagalitan kayo. And this is still Afternoon Delight on One News. We just need to pause for another break. Pero sa ilang sandali lang, bukod sa kakainan ng cheese sticks at kwek-kwek tong kasama ko, makakasama natin ang dalawa sa cast members ng Bad Genius. Don't miss that. Tutok lang dito. watching Afternoon Delight. Thank you for staying with us. And our delight of the day is...
Na-mention na ni Tito Lord kanina, kwek-kwek at cheese sticks. Bakit nga ba? Sa kasiyahan lang namin. Hindi, pero kasi daw, ito ang paboritong snacks pag nag-review for exams. And balita namin, bet daw ito ng mga bisita natin mamaya.
Sino mahilig sa nagre-review ng exams dyan?
Actually, hindi. Ako parang nung ako'y nasa Espanya pa.
Kung pumasa yung mga yon, yan ang ginagamit na pag...
Ma-memorize kaya nila yung binabasa nila, no?
Pero may protein naman, di ba?
Oo. Pero ako, mas mahilig ako dito.
And lots of fat.
Okay.
And starch.
Sige, habang nagmemeryenda tayo, daanan na rin muna natin ang ating mga social media stories for today. Unang storya from the Philippine Star via Life, Abu Dhabi launches virtual marriage for all. Saan yung account ngayon?
Ayan. Ito pala, experiment nila noong panahon ng pandemya. Of course, di ba? So, walang mga in-person. So, they decided to retain at ito daw ay sa halagang, ang equivalent sa pesos ay 12,000.
Yes, oo, 12,000.
So, non-religious ang pinanggagalingan nitong ang matrimonial system na ito at kahit hindi pala citizen.
Oo. Tsaka 24 hours lang, organize a virtual ceremony in as little as 24 hours. So kung talagang kayo ay buo na ang loob at gusto niyo talagang magpakasal, pwede dito mabilisan.
Anong sinabi dyan ng kasal na sa Las Vegas? Yung si Elvis Presley magkakasal sa inyo. Walang sinabi yun. Ito, 20 overnight. Tama ba?
Hindi, pwede ka mag-organize.
Ang tanong, may divorce ba dito?
Ay, importante yan malaman.
Kasi, di ba, mahirap na.
Kasi yung mga ginagawa sa Vegas, well, what we always see on TV and
Ginagawa sa Vegas, stays in Vegas.
yun din. Pero kasi may divorce. Pwede, di ba? Dito, alamin natin kung mag-a-apply din yun.
Pero ito, sigurado ako. Pag nakita mo itong lalaki na nag-workout ng ganito, sigurado ko hindi mo siya i-divorce. This one's a keeper.
Ganon?
Natin to.
Okay, this one is on Facebook. Isang animal na home...
Animal.
Animal.
Animal na home workout.
Okay.
Bakit animal? Panoorin mo to, Denise Tan.
There's a line,
Ano po niya?
a certain kind of line.
Nakita mo? Anong binubuhat niya?
Ano ba yun?
Ace yan, bote ng beer, bote ng... Iyan,
Okay.
Punong-puno ng RH.
I wonder kung mabigat yan.
Mabigat yun.
Bote. Mga ilang bote kaya yon? Approximately, sabihin natin... Teka, sinisilip ko, no?
Hindi.
Parang mga 12 bottles each
Mabigat
side.
yan. Kasi yung bote niyan mismo isa, medyo hindi siya yung typical na pilsen na gano'ng kagaan. I think it's twice the weight, ano? Tingnan mo, kaliwa pa yung pinambubuhat niya talaga.
Actually, mas bilib ako sa fact na kumakanta siya because when you're lifting weights, it also involves breathing.
Pwede.
So,
At ang kinakanta pa niya, Bee Gees. Love somebody.
so grabe yung niya, yung power niya to push through the heavy lifting.
Alright. Sige. Habang gagayahin niyo mamaya yan, sigurado ako, pero siguraduhin niyo, inumin niyo muna yung laman yan para mas magaan. Okay, pagbati po sa tatay ko, Karning.
Hello, Tito.
Huwag kang magulat tayo, ha? Kung bakit umaalog-alog ang logo namin. Opo, hello din po kay Let There Be Light. Kay Jinx, maayong hapon. Mag-antay po tayo, may senador na mag-distribute ng go bags na kulay green na may nakalagay na walang bisyo kundi serbisyo. You just gave an idea, damn it. Sabi ni Bray, walang laman yan. Jan, hindi nahihiya. Manalo Violeta, may nakikinig pa ba sa...
Saan? Alex Fuentes watching us. Okay, ang haba nung isa, hindi ko maintindihan.
Artemio Marifosque, sabi niya, media journalist, columnist, newscasters, et al. Publicists should only let politicians speak out objectively, not subjectively. Moving on to 2028, right, Lord? Sugutin ko ba to?
If you want to,
Kung gusto mo
naman.
ang baka objective yan. Walang opinion ng baka, walang emosyon, mga ganyan. O, Jester Demano, Ray Green, GSM, Danilo Natividad, Marlon Manalo, Cesar Carino.
Meron ako
John
nabasa.
Santelices, yes, Alex
Meron daw
Fuentes.
bang baong tito joke o tita joke today?
Mamaya.
Meron ako isa.
Ano?
Kakabasa ko lang. Anong tawag ng batang langgam sa kapatid na babae ng nanay niya?
Auntie.
Bakit alam
Obvious
mo?
naman eh.
Eh,
Langgam
kahit
pa lang.
na.
Alam mo ba, yan ang gusto mong
Kasi
i-preface
naglilista ako eh.
sa item na babasahin mo susunod.
Hindi, syempre. Hello, Tita Redel and Tita Jane Katapia.
At umayos ka.
Bukas bumawi tayo sa pagbati natin ulit. But
At
now,
ito jokes.
on to another story. PLDT Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan was honored with the Lifetime Contributor Award at the 16th Asia CEO Awards. That's for his outstanding role in nation building and empowering Filipinos through job and business opportunities. Para bigyan ng muka ang balita, Mobile Journal, Francis Rivera.
Bida ang Filipino talents and leaders sa ginanap na 16th Asia CEO Awards kagabi. Kasama sa pinarangalan si MVP Manny V. Pangilinan bilang Lifetime Contributor Award. Ito ay para sa bukod-tanging kontribusyon niya sa nation building, ang makapagbigay ng maraming oportunidad para sa mga Pilipino. In behalf of MVP, tinanggap ni Meralco Power Gen President Emmanuel Rubio ang award.
To the Asia CEO Awards, this year's judges, to friends and colleagues who have stayed through the storms, you have my deepest gratitude. Whatever I've built was never built alone. Thank you again for this Lifetime Contributor of the Year Award. I'll take it not as a closure, but as inspiration to continue working to build a lifetime that is truly worthy of the title of this award.
MWell ang nagbigay ng recognition para sa Circle of Excellence Award for Sustainability of the Year. Sa pamumuno ni Florence Pasha, Head of B2B MWell, at Jerby Inahada, Chief Technology Officer ng MWell, ang pagbibigay ng award para sa Technology Company of the Year.
We are here to celebrate these diverse, forward-thinking organizations that have not just embraced digital tools and processes, but have engineered them to create systemic efficiencies and revolutionize customer experience.
Pakay ng CEO Awards na mas makapagbigay inspirasyon lalo sa mga youth leaders.
To all the Circle of Excellence and winners this year, I encourage you to please share your story. And I also encourage everybody to please believe in yourself. So good luck and let's continue to work together.
Mga kapatid, Mobile Journal Francis Rivera po, hatid ang muka ng balita.
Ano daw?
Hindi, kung nadinig yung off-cam, tama ka. Nandito na nga yung pre-nomise natin sa ating mga viewers. The Philippine adaptation of Bad Genius, the series is premiering on TV5 starting October 18. And joining us today are the stars themselves. Of course, we have Atasha Mulak and Hyacinth Calyado. Welcome to
Hello!
Congratulations!
Thank you for having
This
us.
is our bride for you.
Nakita ko ito. Sorry, maingay kami kanina pa.
No problem, it's yours.
Maraming salamat sa surprise.
We'll just charge Viva, no? For that.
Okay lang po, hindi naman kailangan masabi.
Suka yan.
Yeah, suka. Okay.
Ito.
So, alam niyo na kung ano ang nagpapaligaya sa dalawang babaeng yan. Bakit nga ba yan? Bakit mo naging favorite? Sorry, hindi siya dynamite, ano? Pero
Hindi ba?
it's cheese sticks.
Sarap pa rin.
Masarap pa rin.
Like cheesecake. Yan ang importante.
Iyan, no?
Bakit ito po ang favorite?
Hindi ka ba
Kasi-
pinapakain ng itbulaga?
Palagi po. Actually,
Joke lang.
palagi po. Pero yung kwento dito po sa lumpia, specifically yung dynamite lumpia, yan po ang merienda track namin sa taping. So kasi sobrang mabigat yung eksenas namin, kailangan namin yung comfort food when eksena.
That's right.
Diba? At mas masaya ang buong cast, yung set, yung mga cameramen, parang fiesta na party.
Okay, sa British schools ba, ganyan din ba sa I'm sure iba sa British schools, ano?
Malayo po. What did you guys snack?
So congratulations, Bad Genius. When you first heard about the project, these are morally gray characters, or neither bad nor hindi naman talaga sila bida. Pero how do you prepare for something like that?
You know what? This is really hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to talk and eat. Preparing for it more so was that we had to, of course, understand our character. We would watch, of course, the different adaptations that they've done in Thailand and in the US. And of course, we were always thinking, how can we incorporate a Philippine attack into this show?
Yeah.
What can we do? And of course, like you said, the characters in the gray area. So we have to also kind of be careful in the motions that we show. Because this is very relatable to most people who have gone to school, these students who have gone through the same stress. And it's touching on very light topics that people don't really address nowadays. Which is a system that kahit ano yung situation mo, kung masabit ka dito or sobrang swerte ka in this factor, minsan, the system is not fair.
Yeah.
And the whole story, the whole point behind that is when us four together work together as a team, we can achieve whatever it may be, proving that, yes, dahil ginawa namin, maybe we have done something bad, pero at the end of it, it was for a good purpose. Ayan, abangan mo na lang. Salamat sa pagkain.
Sinagot niya ng todo yung para
Yeah.
So, but I want to touch on what you said na you would watch different adaptations. So, of course, to have a better feel of the character. Kayong dalawa ba, meron ba kayong nakitang similarities na sa characters na? Lynn and Grace, right?
Go, Grace.
Okay. For me, I would say in some way yes, in some ways no. Like, I can understand the pressures that she's faced as like a young woman, the pressures between her family and what she loves, which is like theater, music, and what her dad wants of her, which is just academics and, his dreams for her instead. So there's a lot of that to tackle on. And then, oh no, wait, what was the question again?
Just similarities.
Similarities with Grace.
Sorry, I got distracted. Similarities. Besides that, I struggled with that a lot before, always having to prove that I can make it with my dream, with my family. And then also, I don't know, just a lot of pressures, like with empathizing with her need to please everyone around her, and she didn't really know her boundaries as a young woman, and she did grow up in the more privileged side, which I could understand. Like me, at least growing up from the US, I definitely would say I am more privileged from a lot of people. So that was something that I could relate to.
Sa'yo ba yung line na, yan ang makidalaman ng English algebra sa pagkanta at pag-arte? Or was that yours?
Yan ang line mo. Yan ang yung first scene na ginawa natin.
Yeah, I was like, what does algebra have to do with singing and acting?
Yes, tapos ako mismo nagsabi sa kanya na yan ang, ay bawal akong sabihin kasi malapit na yan ba sa first episode. Gusto ko na lang magkwento na lang dito, tinilang mo kami sa pagkain kasi.
Sa mga mananakit kay Atasha, marinig yung isa, cheater. Nakasulat doon sa Scrabble niya.
Yan.
Anyway, malapit na birthday nito.
Oo nga, kayong dalawa.
November 5. At isa naman ay October 17.
Yes!
Ganon-ganon na lang ba yun?
Malapit na. Ikaw, ang pinakamalapit na birthday.
Alright, so, hindi pa tayo tapos kasi you are contractually obliged to read some jokes.
Okay.
Some really bad jokes. Kung may bad jokes, may bad genius edition ng I Saw The Signs. Don't worry, these are clean.
Sige po.
Today's edition, test your sense of humor. Simply put, jokes about exams. Kasi di ba sa school-based yung ano.
Okay.
Pero may tito joke element pa rin to.
So, gusto ko yan.
Give each joke a score, pass or fail. Alright. So si Atasha muna.
Okay. Sasabi ko po dito or sa'yo po. Okay. Why did the teacher go to the beach?
Why?
To test the water! Pwede ba?
Mukhang
Ano ba yun? Pass ba yun or fail?
pass ba o fail?
Ang galing, no? Di ba?
Si Hyacinth naman.
Okay. Why does your geography exam have a big 0 over it?
Why?
Why?
It's not a 0. The teacher ran out of stars, so she gave me a moon instead.
Where I come from, moon means different things. That's right, di ba?
Isa pa. Si Hyacinth.
Okay.
Ito na. Kaya mo yan.
Why did the hot dog fail in his exams?
Why?
Because he gave the worst answer. Pwede. Galing.
Parang dapat that should be read with a German accent, no?
I don't know.
He gave a voice, ax.
Okay.
Si Atasha naman, your turn.
German.
What wild animal does well on exams despite not studying?
Pasok na pasok sa inyo to.
Diba? Eh, syempre naman, the cheetah! Boom! Nakakapagmamangabag. Ayaw, tumawa na kayo. Okay.
Nasa delivery talaga ang joke, ano?
Alright, papasok natin ngayon, no? May habol tayo.
Of course. Oh, another member of the Bad Genius cast. Let's welcome Jairus Aquino. Hello.
Lourdes, Jairus.
Hi. Hello, Denise. Nice to see you.
Ang pambansang best friend. Oh. So ikaw ba best friend din dito?
Hindi, pero so far, magiging friends din siguro sa bandang.
Iyon, oh. Alright, so paano, kamusta katrabaho at ang dalawang dalagang ito?
Sobrang saya, sobrang gaan, really bonded well, and sobrang hardworking, and professional ang lahat po ng mga trabaho namin.
Diba? So thank you sa pagdating ninyo, cast of Bad Genius. Can you invite them, please?
Ayun! Mga kapatid, inimbitahan po namin kayo, syempre, na manood ng Bad Genius. Dito yan sa TV5.
Jairus, 250 lang isang quick record.
Ayan, ito na.
Alright, Tash and Hyacinth, please, some words for our audience.
Yan, we just want to thank everyone who has supported Bad Genius sa series. Maraming salamat. At ito na, malapit na. Just 3 days na, guys, mga kapatid. Ito na, Bad Genius sa series. Every Saturdays, 5:15 p.m. dito sa TV5.
Alright.
Alright, and again, we want to thank you guys. We want to thank Atasha Mulak, Hyacinth Calyado, and Jairus Aquino of the Bad Genius, the series. Congratulations ulit.
Congrats.
Thank you! Maraming salamat. Thank you din sa pagkain. Grabe, afternoon delight talaga.
Paubayan mo na sa kadalian, Denise.
Oh, hindi naman ako nakikisundot
Hindi mo sa matingin mo kay Tasha
Punesto ni Atasha sa harap. But again, that will have to do it for us this midweek, this middle of the month, October 15th. Thank you for watching Afternoon Delight. Ako po, si Denise na.
Beware the Ides of October. Join us again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Ako po si Lourdes de Vera, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.